Here we're going to look at topic 7, example 3, understand absolute value inequalities. In part A, or the question, what are the solutions of an absolute value inequality? In part A, we're asked to find the absolute value that is less than 3. So what we want to remember is that absolute values measure distance. So 3 spots away from, or 3 units, we don't know if this is miles, whatever our units are, miles, inches, meters. We have 3 and we have -3. And in this case, we want the solutions for this. So the absolute value of x is less than 3 means we want distances that are less than 3. And if we think about that, right, we'd have an open circle at 3 and -3. And the distances that are less than 3 would be anything that's closer. So anything in between those 2 points, right? Because if I had like -1 here, the distance from -1 to 0 is definitely less than 3. Again, we don't know what the units are. Doesn't matter what the units are. We'll just say 1 unit, 2 units, 3 units. But the distance is closer, right? It's everything on the inside. We want the values that are less than a distance of 3. And if you remember from the previous section when we talked about compound inequalities, this is an end statement. And what we have is we have values where anything over here, right, is greater than -3. And then over here, the values are less than 3. So we can write that as that way, right? What are the solutions? This is the solution, right? It is a compound inequality and it's an end statement because we want the distances that are closer, so the ones on the inside. You can also write this, if you remember, as -3 is less than x is less than 3. Right? Either one of these works. Remember, compound inequalities, we can write them in that form, or an end statement we can write in that form. Now in part B, they're asking for distances that are greater than 3. So again, I'm going to go with this -3, 0, and 3. Throw in our open circles. And this time you want a distance that is more than 3. So at -3, the distance from -3 is 0. We want distances greater than that, so that would be over here. And then for the 3, we'd want the values that are on the outside over here. And again, from the previous section, hopefully you remember these compound inequalities, this is one of our OR statements. So in this case, I want values that are x is less than -3, right? All these values over here are less than -3, or, right, keyword and an or x is greater than 3 over here. These points would all be greater than 3. And that's it. That's your solution. All right. So the absolute values that are greater than 3 would be when x is less than -3 or when x is greater than 3. This can also kind of be written as a compound inequality. You do want to be very, very careful with this when you're setting this up. But you could write this as -3 is greater than x, which is greater than 3. Notice that the symbols point the same way. This is not very frequent. Okay, you don't really see this as an OR statement. Usually if you have a left, a middle, and a right, usually there are exceptions, it's an end statement. However, it can be written this way. Just kind of keep that in mind. Be careful of that. For OR statements, compound OR statements, usually you will see the word OR in between them and you will see them separated. Like I mentioned a couple videos ago, just remember absolute value measures distance. Okay, you're always looking for distance from 0.